I am speaking with Mayur Chaudhari, Special Teams Assistant Coach for the Atlanta Falcons, as part of the GALvanize Who, Not the Do interview series. So thank you so much, Mayur, for joining me today.
No
Really
problem.
appreciate all the time. So I wanted to start by briefly talking a little bit about your journey. Being a pioneer can be a lonely road. I know because I'm there. And I I imagine that when you chose to pursue the position that you're in, you didn't see a lot of coaches of Indian descent around you. What made you choose this path?
I think that I, I'll tell the story of like when I was in high school, um, I loved football. I loved the game. I loved watching it and I wanted to play it. And everybody told me that I could not play it, that I wasn't big enough to do it, that couldn't be with the other guys on the team, things like that, and just couldn't assimilate with all them. And so part of me was like, I wanted to prove everybody wrong. I can do it. And Indian people can play football and can be a part of this world. And so it started off with just a passion of playing and being on a team and being with a group, and that was how it started. And then what I realized was, yeah, I'm not a very good player. Like I wasn't very athletic. There were much better players on the team than me. But what I learned was that uh, I I was able to help the guys play better.
That was your road to get where you are. And now that you're here, what keeps inspiring you to keep charting your own course? Because you are obviously doing that.
You want to give people opportunity, right? Like I want opportunities, obviously, but where the way I was raised is you have to create your own opportunities, and maybe the door will be open this big, but you have to bust it open and with your own abilities and keep the opportunity you have and keep growing. And so where I grew up, the, how I grew up, the kids I grew up with, like opportunity was not around for a lot of them. I was very fortunate. I had two parents that really loved me and supported me and loved me in a lot of ways. Um, Education was the most important thing in the world because my father would say, no one can ever take your education away from you. And so all the things that I picked up from my parents in that sense, um, I want to make sure that all the guys that I coach have the opportunities to fulfill their dreams, it's funny though, my parents are probably the main people for most of my life that told me I couldn't coach football and I couldn't do it. So while they loved me so much, they also told me that at the same time, no, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. And so um, to me, it's just so much about like all these kids who have dreams to play football or play in the NFL and things like that. The truth is, really, when you talk to them, it's not about being the big time star on the football team or being on the front cover of ESPN. It's
I'm
about,
wondering now if the biggest challenge you might have faced was within your own family rather than outside forces.
yeah, I think there's two worlds in that, right? So one is, yes, from my culture and my family, right? Like, uh, I was supposed to be a doctor or an engineer. And then if that didn't work out, I'd go into business. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I heard from my family my whole life. Um, and I think more of that comes from you don't work for passion. You don't have a job for passion or like how it makes you feel. You have it because that's your means of taking care of your family, you know? And so my parents both come from pretty extreme poverty. And so for them, it wasn't about doing a job that made you happy. It was about doing what you had to do to take care of your family. And those are doctor, engineer, business, whatever, lawyer, whatever it is. Those are secure, in their eyes, secure professions, financially secure professions. And they knew there's no Indians in football. So the tough road my father took to come to this country and start his life and build his community and bring all of my my uncles and aunts here and all these things. He's put 3 people through graduate school that are not related to us. You know, it's just how he is, right? And so he gave opportunity to other people, and I think it was hard for my parents because they just saw like they didn't want me to have that kind of struggle where I had to make it on my own. But that was the example I had from him, right? Like that's how you do it, you know, and that's what's rewarding about it. So definitely that's been a challenge for sure from the culture, from everybody.
So it sounds like the journey is possibly a little bit more difficult because you do get pigeonholed sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But it also sounds like the person that maybe inspires you the most is your father to push yourself out of being pigeonholed, ironically enough.
Yeah. Yeah. He doesn't know it. He probably doesn't understand it or see it that way, but for sure, you know.
Wow.
And then I worked, I'm lucky. I get emotional when I talk about them both, but I got 2 really great father-in-laws
Yeah.
who really supported me a lot in this whole thing. And just like my wife's stepdad, I worked for him for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a great guy because he, like, all the things that I knew I could do inside, mm-hmm. like the things I could do to relate to players and all those things. Mm-hmm. You're told your whole life, well, that's not who you are. You're really good at the administrative stuff. And I knew that. So there was always some doubt in my mind. Well, am I good at the players though? Am I good at the players though? Mm-hmm. But somehow he brought that out of me.
Yeah.
And then you realize after you work for him, like, man, this guy really like brought me a lot of confidence, you know? And so then after that, I just felt like on top of the world. So you need someone that's going to believe in you.
Dick Tomei is a huge figure in football. Is there one story, one time where you were working with him where you realized he just figured you out, he got you? Because I know how important it is to have one person really believe in you, as you were saying. Is there a story that you can tell us?
You know, I think I don't know when he figured me out, you know. I don't know if I can pinpoint that, but I think he got some insight on what my world was. You know, Coach Tomey was like awesome. I mean, he's so good at recognizing people's like backgrounds and cultures and things like that, and accepting it and accentuating it and bringing it out to light and making it, you know, like he'd be so happy to introduce me as an Indian coach, you know, like he's proud of that, right? It's not something he'd ever try to hide. But I think he really understood what it meant to be an Indian coach. When we had been together our first year, we went 6-6. So it was a good year, but it wasn't great. And he asked me at the end of the season, he does a one-on-one with everybody in the building he does it with. And he asked me, you know, do you want to stay? What can I do for you? Like, you know, are you enjoying this job? You want to keep doing it? And I said, yeah, I do want to stay. I love it here. You know, I'm enjoying it. And then he said, what can I do for you to help you, like, you know, in your career advance, whatever, all that stuff. And I said, honestly, like, I said, can you call my dad and just tell him, like, I'm okay at this, you know? Not that I'm great, not that I'm like the prodigy, just I'm okay. I'll be okay doing this. And he kind of laughed and he goes, you know, 35 years as a head coach, I've never had anyone ask to call their dad, you know? And he said, give me the number. And so my father and I are like this, you know, like very, very at odds about the whole thing growing up. Kicked me out of the house at one point, you know, just a lot of those issues going on, you know. It's just a father and sons. It's what happens sometimes, right? And then, but Coach Tomey called him, and then that relationship with my father flipped because of Coach Tomey. Next thing I know, my dad is coming to games, you know. He never come to a game before, you know.
Coach, I know now your do is going to overtake your who because football season's starting. So thank you again for taking all this time to speak with us. And I wish you the best for this incredible but unique season.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be crazy. No, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me.